Let's talk about the NFL's most improved offenses going into the 2023 NFL season, man. There are 5 teams who I think improved the most over the course of this offseason on the offensive side of football. The first team that I have are the Baltimore Ravens, man. You guys know how I feel about them hiring Todd Monken, aka T Money, as their OC. This guy is drastically going to elevate the passing game of the Baltimore Ravens. Lamar Jackson is going to be right back in the thick of the MVP discussion. And I was going back and forth with my guy Juice, and I was telling him, man, like, you really need to do your research and do your homework on Todd Monken, because everywhere this guy goes, he produces elite passing attacks. When he was the offensive coordinator for the last year that Derek Cutter was in Tampa Bay as their head coach, they had the number 1 passing attack in the league that year with Jameis Winston and Ryan Fitzpatrick. This dude had one of the best offenses in college football during Georgia's championship run the last 2 years, with Stetson Bennett at QB, a walk-on quarterback. John Harbaugh was really excited about hiring Todd Monken. He said that out of all the candidates they interviewed, and they interviewed a lot of good candidates, Todd Monken was the man who impressed them the most. What he's going to do on offense is going to be way different from what the Baltimore Ravens have been doing the last couple of years when they previously had Greg Roman. And then you actually give Lamar Jackson a legitimate supporting cast. You sign OBJ, you draft Zay Flowers, you couple that with Mark Andrews, Isaiah Likely at the tight end positions, then you're going to have Rashad Bateman. This is going to be a really good offense. Their offensive line is also the healthiest that it has been in the last couple of years. This Baltimore Ravens team, man, this is one of the most improved offenses going into this year, man. And I think this offense, with the additions that they've made, have put them right back as front runners, or at least in the conversation, to be able to knock off Kansas City and make it out of this conference. What about the Carolina Panthers, man? Now, the Carolina Panthers are a team that you may not think has improved drastically on offense, but they have. You hire Frank Wright, who is an offensive-minded head coach. You draft Bryce Young, who I think is going to have a fantastic rookie season. And then you sign Adam Thielen, which, although he is getting up there in age, he's going to be way better than what they had at wide receiver last season. Outside of DJ Moore, they didn't really have nobody who could win consistently. Then you bring in DJ Chark, who is a really good deep threat. Then you also sign running back Miles Sanders from the Philadelphia Eagles. So you're going to have him, Chuba Hubbard in the backfield. You also got tight end Hayden Hurst. This is a really improved offense that the Carolina Panthers have going into this season. And I think that they're probably going to end up winning the NFC South this year. They got a fantastic coaching staff. You got a really improved offense. You're going to have guys around Bryce Young who are going to be able to produce. This is the best situation that any rookie quarterback is walking into this year that Bryce Young has. Bryce Young has all the pieces around him for him to have a really good season. Miles Sanders is a really good running back, really talented. Terrence Marshall is going to end up having a breakout season alongside of the additions of DJ Chark, Adam Thielen, and let's not forget about rookie out of Ole Miss Jonathan Mingo, who many people think could be a clone of A.J. Brown. The New York Jets, man, we already knew that the Jets were going to be on here, man. They improved at a lot of positions on offense. You had Zach Wilson, who arguably was the worst quarterback in the NFL last season. Not just him, but you had Joe Flacco, Mike White, and yet the New York Jets came very short of being able to sneak into the postseason. Now you trade for Aaron Rodgers, which, although Aaron Rodgers pretty much is on his last leg of his NFL career, this dude a year ago was a back-to-back MVP winner. I think that Aaron Rodgers still has a good amount of juice left in the tank. He just needed a better supporting cast around him. Then you sign his sidekicks, Alan Lazard, Randall Cobb. Then you also are going to be bringing in Mecole Hardman, who I think is going to be heavily utilized in this offense. This dude is one of the fastest players in the NFL. Their offensive line, they drafted Joe Tippmann out of Wisconsin. He was one of the best interior offensive linemen coming out of this past year's draft. This New York Jets offense is going to be really good this year. And they don't need this offense to be a top 5 or top 10 offense. They just need it to produce way better than what it has over the last couple of seasons. Aaron Rodgers, they don't need this dude to play at an MVP level in order for them to be able to win a Super Bowl. They have one of the best defenses in the NFL going into this year. All they need Aaron Rodgers to do is be better than Zach Wilson and Sam Darnold and whoever they have had at quarterback the last couple of years. And I don't think that the bar for quarterback play in the New York is set all that high. These guys haven't had a good quarterback since who? Mark Sanchez, when he took them to the AFC Championship back-to-back years, and he wasn't even a good quarterback. So I think that Aaron Rodgers is most definitely the best QB that the Jets have had in a very long time. I can't even recall the last time New York ever had a franchise quarterback. In all my years watching football, I think that Aaron Rodgers is probably the most talented QB, even though he's up there in age than what New York has trotted out there over the last decade or so. They don't need Aaron Rodgers to be Superman. They don't even need him to be the bad man Aaron Rodgers. All they need Aaron Rodgers to do is take care of the football and be better than Zach Wilson, Sam Darnold, and whoever else. The bar for quarterback play in the Big Apple is not that high. Even if Aaron Rodgers doesn't perform at a high level, I still think that he can be better than what they've gotten out of that position. And with the supporting cast that he has around him, this reminds me a lot of the situation that Tom Brady was walking into back in 2020 when he signed with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Tom Brady, he left New England because he realized that he was getting up there in age. He wasn't good enough to continue to elevate a roster full of no-name receivers. That's why he went to Tampa Bay. He knew that he needed more help, and he wasn't going to get that in New England. That's why Aaron Rodgers wanted out of Green Bay. These dudes just refused to give this man additional help. And I get that he had some good receivers. He had Devontae Adams, Jordy Nelson, and whatnot, but he never had stacked teams. You're playing in NFL now that's dominated by elite QBs and fantastic rosters. You just can't coach your way to a win anymore in the postseason unless you have the elite personnel to do so. The New York Jets have that. And think about this. If Aaron Rodgers ends up bouncing back to his MVP form, without a doubt, this team is most likely going to be in the AFC Championship game. This offense is stacked. They have a lot of talent and depth at wide receiver. I think their offensive line is going to be a lot better than what a lot of people are giving them credit for. And we know how elite that defense is. So if this offense making the additions that they've made this offseason, the New York Jets, they're going to be right in the thick of the Super Bowl conversation. The Steelers gave Kenny Pickett a better offensive line. They're calling it the Pickett fence. They signed some really good interior offensive linemen off Philadelphia. You know, Philadelphia is pretty much a gold mine for good offensive linemen. Not just that, but you traded for Allen Robinson, who, remember, this dude was, what, a 1,300, 1,400 receiver not too long ago. He got signed to a pretty lofty contract by the LA Rams, and they just couldn't really find a way to make him fit in that system. And he's going to the Pittsburgh Steelers, where most likely he's going to be playing as a big slot receiver. You remember when the Pittsburgh Steelers had Antonio Brown and Martavis Bryant? That offense was really hard to stop. And now you give Kenny Pickett another weapon alongside of you drafting Broderick Jones at left tackle, who I'm a really big fan of, bro. Like, if you see Broderick Jones coming at you, if you're a linebacker or a defensive back, you better move the hell out of the way, because this dude is going to bulldoze you to hell. He's going to send you straight to the gulag. I was really happy when Pittsburgh drafted Broderick Jones. Now, the left side of your offensive line is solidified. You have a pretty good group of interior offensive linemen. James Daniels was the best offensive lineman on this squad last year. You're going to have Chuck Okorafor starting at right tackle. This is one of the best offensive lines that the Steelers have had in the last couple of years. You got to remember that the Steelers were in a little bit of a quiet rebuild. They were old a couple of years ago. They're way younger on the offensive line in 2023 than what they have been in years. It's youth, and there's plenty of talent and depth on this offensive line if one of these guys goes down. And then you drafted Darnell Washington, which I don't think he's going to bring you much this season in the passing game. I don't think he's a great pass catcher, but this dude in the run game is like an additional offensive lineman. He's a mauler. He's a bulldozer. You probably could say he's another version of Mercedes Lewis. Mercedes Lewis is one of the best run blocking tight ends that we've had in the NFL for the last couple of years. Darnell Washington kind of has a lot of similarities, in my opinion, to him. And now you have an elite group of receivers. George Pickens is expected to have a breakout year. Deontay Johnson is amongst one of the best route runners in the NFL. He creates a lot of separation. You got Najee in the backfield. You got a really good backup running back in Jaylen Warren. Now Kenny Pickett has all the tools around him for him to be successful. The only thing that concerns me about the Steelers offense going into this year is the dude who they have calling the plays and Matt Canada. I don't think he's a good play caller. But with this team, there's no reason why the Pittsburgh Steelers shouldn't be able to make it to the postseason, especially with the improvement of the offensive line. Even if Matt Canada still ends up not being a great play caller, there's just way too much talent on this team. Plus the fact that you have Mike Tomlin being the head coach still for this offense to at least not be above average. Kenny Pickett, I think he's going to be in for a really big 2023 campaign. I think his second season is going to be a breakout year for him. And this is one of the most important years for a young quarterback in their development. You remember Trevor Lawrence, year 2, he elevated. Joe Burrow, year 2, he took Cincinnati to the Super Bowl. Justin Herbert, he was really good in his second season. This is the season where you kind of start to figure out if you have that guy at quarterback. And for Kenny Pickett, there's no excuses for him not to have a really solid season. Now, I'm not saying Kenny Pickett's going to put up MVP numbers or anything like that, but they don't need him to. That's never been the Steelers' mantra. The Steelers have always won playing, a style of football that's complementary. They're not going to over-rely on Kenny Pickett. They're not going to over-rely on the run game. They have a team that's able to play complementary football, a team that can be balanced. This team can beat you in the run and the pass. And if Kenny Pickett ends up taking that next big step in development, like many Steelers fans, myself included, believe that he will, this is going to be a team that's going to be in the playoffs. And the last team are the Denver Broncos. The Denver Broncos, they may not have made the flashiest signings. They signed Ben Powers, offensive tackle, Mike McGlinchey. They drafted wide receiver out of Oklahoma, Marvin Mims. But I think their biggest offseason acquisition was trading for Sean Payton. Listen, the Denver Broncos made an all-time big mistake when they traded for Russell Wilson and they paid him all that money. And it was going to take an all-time great head coach to try to fix this all-time big mistake. And Sean Payton is that guy. This dude is one of the greatest offensive minds in the history of this game. If there's anybody who can be able to get what's left in the tank out of Russell Wilson, it's Sean Payton. Remember, his final season in New Orleans in 2021, they went 9-8 with Jameis Winston, Taysom Hill, Ian Book, and Trevor Siemian, and one of the worst receiving corps, if not the worst receiving corps in the NFL that year. Their best receiver in 2021 was Marquez Callaway. So I think that this Broncos offense is going to greatly elevate under head coach Sean Payton. Now, is this going to be enough for them to be a playoff team in the AFC West when you got to go against Patrick Mahomes and Justin Herbert twice a year? I don't know. But I am telling you that this offense is not going to be remotely bad as what it was last year, man. Nathaniel Hackett, this dude just couldn't hack it as a head coach. He wasn't a good play caller. Russell Wilson just wasn't a good fit in his scheme. Now you bring in Sean Payton, somebody who knows how to get the most out of the quarterback position, somebody who's been really good at being able to elevate quarterbacks and being able to find a way to adjust and build around his personnel. With the talent that the Denver Broncos already had, really their only big weakness was their offensive line. So the only concern that you have about Denver this year is Russell Wilson. He has receivers, Jerry Jeudy, Tim Patrick. You got Cortland Sutton on the outside. This is a really good offense. And with the additions that they made on the offensive line and bringing in Sean Payton, this offense is going to be one of the most improved in the NFL this season. But these are my NFL's most improved offenses going into the 2023 season. Let me know what you guys think about this down in the comment section down below. Let me know if you guys feel there's a team that I left off here that should be on this list.